Hello, my name is Chu Hong Wang, and today I'm going to talk about Assignment 3, Understanding Business Environment. So let's get started on the first part. So for the next part is tax effect on producer and consumer welfare. So as you can see in the graph, there's a graph on the right side of the slide. And so the equilibrium point E and the demand curve D, and also supply curve is S, they are coincide. So the consumer and the producer are both impact when the tax is divided on an item or service. This is due to the fact that the tax amount is determined by comparing the original equilibrium price to the new one, following with the imposition of the tax, the intersection of the new demand curve D and the prior supply curve S, and the designated the equilibrium point, which is E. As you can see on the graph there, it's the equilibrium. Right in the middle is the intersection. That is the intersection of the new demand curve. So consumer surplus has decreased, which means that the consumer are now paying more for goods and lowering their surplus. This has affected hugely on the consumer welfare as well as the producer, because now the lower price for products will reduce the surplus of the producer and resulting in lower welfare for them. So the entire loss in society will being brought on by the tax is known as the deadweight loss, which is the short version is DWL. So it is the triangle formed by the O and the new supply and demand curve. As you can see right in the graph right there, there's a small triangle. That's the deadweight loss, and the tax decreased the amount bought and sold in the market receive relative to the pre-tax equilibrium, which result in a deadweight loss. So let's move on to the next part. So for the next part is the impact on aggregate supply and demand, AD and AS. So as you see on the right, it's the graph decreasing in AS and AD. The overall demand for goods and services in an economy is represented by aggregated demand, which tax levied is lower the customer disposable income. So now because the customer are making less, their wants and needs is also different because they want to spend less money. Due to the reduction in aggregated demand caused by the drop in consumer spending, the AD curve has to move to the left. As a result, yes, the overall supply of commodities and services in an economy is represented by aggregated supplies. So taxes also have an impact on the manufacture, raising the cost of production. This is due to the cost increase. Businesses are now less profitable and less motivated to provide goods and services because now they are also making less money. So aggregated supply decline as the result of the moving AS curve to the left as well. So both output and the price level decline as a result of decreasing in aggregated demand and aggregated supplies working together. This decline will lead to slower economy expansion, and it will increase in unemployment rates because now everyone is making less money, so people are not being higher, and even the possibility of economic downturn. Let's move to the next one. So for the next one is the possibility of health improved tax in the long run. So as you can see on the right is the graph as well of the AD and AS. So a tax that is enhance people's health may potentially in a long-term advantage for the economy actually. This is because when analyzed using the AD and AS model, we found out that if the new tax for the unhealthy foods is increased, this will lead to the fact that people will want to buy healthy food because now healthy food is cheaper. An increase in tobaccos or unhealthy food will lead to people who don't want to buy it anymore. So it will lead to an improve on health outcome. Also, the tax can lower the prevalence of health issues linked to harmful commodities such as obesity, diabetes, or other diseases that come from eating unhealthy foods such as fast food, or disease come from smoking such as lung cancer or lung infection or heart disease. So by discouraging the consumption of those items, this will help the health of the people to go up, not any people, everyone. This will increase in productivity among the employee because now their healthcare expenses are lower, and the economic efficiency can all result from better health as a result. So additionally, healthcare program and public health effort might be funded using the tax proceeds from such measure. So now they can expand on the hospital or clinics, and now because people are paying less for the healthcare expense, they can take care of their health more because the tax or for healthy product are actually lower. Yep. And next, move on to the next one. So for the last one is using an econometric model evaluate the effect of fat tax. So to be able to do so, to estimate the connection between variable and economic metric model integrate economy theory and statistical method. The model would look at how a fat tax might affect both economic development and health consequences. So be able to do that, to get the information, to be sure. There will be some different steps that need to take before we come to a conclusion. So the first one will be data collection, which is when we will obtain the information on pertinent factors such as obesity rates of people in different countries, or the prevalence of linked disease, GDP, employment rate, all sort of detail on how the fat tax are being implemented and operating on different places, and is it working or not. So for the next one will be specification, is when we define the functional form and explain how the fat tax relates to desired result. This might entail taking into account of lagged impact, control factor, and possible non-linear correlation. So afterward, we will use estimation. This is to estimate the model parameters. Use the proper econometrics technique such as regression analysis. The entail determine the fat tax causally impact on both health and economic development while accounting for any confounding variable. Also, the review will be the next step. So that is when we evaluate the estimated effect, statistical significance, and stability to guarantee the validity of the finding, do sensitively analysis, and take into account of any restriction or alternative specification. This is basically when we reviewing the data we have collected on the last three steps to see if there any difficulty or not. So afterward will be the interpretation, is when we examine the finding to gauge the scope and the direction of the fat tax influence on health outcome, economic expansion, think about the trade-off between health gains and probable financial reputation. So basically this is like a conclusion, is when we finished all the data collecting, the review already, and then and then we are evaluating the data to see if it fits the hypothesis. So when performing such an empirical study, it's crucial to be aware that the constraint and when performing an underlying presumption of the selected econometric technique, because there are also risks and there are also limitation. Combining econometric research with various sort of evidence can help us better understand the economic and health effect of fat tax. And that's all. Thank you for listening, everyone.